September 7th, 1927. Philo Farnsworth achieves the first electronic television, eventually reaching his dream of falling asleep to a Cheers rerun. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And I'm so happy to welcome back our guest tonight, Allison Rose, everyone.
Hello.
Allison, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Zach, thank you for rushing home as always, even though some idiot was blocking the train.
Yeah, somebody on the train, I'm pretty sure on a car that was not mine, was blocking the doors because they said the doors are closing like 10 times. And the conductor came on and was like, please unobstruct the doors. And I saw her get out and walk past our car. So, plus side, my train became an express train right to my stop.
Perfect.
So that's a minor, but yes, some idiot or asshole holding up for his friends. I imagine a man in a backwards cap who's like, my bros are right there, dude. My bros are right there.
We got to see the bean, or whatever other Chicago shit.
I mean, I would think they would be going to Wrigley Field, but it's probably too late for a game.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Maybe they're going to like the wilted tilt or tilted kilt. What is it called?
Tilted
kilt.
The wilted tilt.
The wilted tilt.
Of course.
Slightly sloppy leaning place.
Yeah.
That's going to be my like sexy, next time I run a D&D campaign, that's like the sexy bar in town.
the wilted tilt. And everyone will be like, what does this mean? What does this have to do with sex at all?
Yeah, but it's like old people, so they're like tilting, but like they can't quite maintain it.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I see.
That's better than just drunkenly wilting at the end of the night.
I mean,
both can occur. It's not mutually exclusive.
That's true.
Zach, your smile when you said that was the most charming thing I've ever seen.
Brian is low-key in love. One time Brian said I'm the most handsome man he knows or something like that.
Yeah.
Apropos of nothing.
Did I say that on a
I don't know. You said something extremely flattering about me maybe not on a podcast, but on Facebook or something. Low-key. I don't know if there's any revisionist shippers out there.
Yeah, if you have any slash fiction of Zach and me, don't send it to us.
People have voted no on Jen and Shannon. There's a ship going on here. This is, Harry Draco level power.
Oh boy.
I'm clearly a Neville Longbottom.
No, that's true.
Oh yeah.
I think Draco is accurate for me because I am racist to non-magical people.
So does people, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yes, pretty much.
I barely know you, and I was gonna say Draco still too, not Harry. So
No.
Yeah,
I think it's a compliment.
you seem more like a Ravenclaw than
I would not be
Slytherin
the
to
boy
me.
who if somebody tried to kill me as a baby, I guarantee I'd be dead right now.
My will to live as a baby, not that strong, turns out.
Hogwarts has the same first two letters.
What?
So my transition got backwards. Hogwarts has the same first two letters as another famous place full of magic and stars called Hollywood.
You've killed Brian.
I thought your segue was just screaming Hollywood.
No, yeah, I accidentally said the wrong place first, so it killed my segue, which was otherwise as good as you could expect, I think.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. Full of magic. First two letters. Solid.
Yep. Yeah. Movie magic, that is.
Ooh.
And I think that this right now on The Revisionist, we are covering. If you haven't listened before, I guess I should start by undoing my transition and saying this is an alternate history podcast show.
And we're back.
Much like how Hogwarts tells an alternate story of the 1990s from a wizard perspective, this is an alternate history podcast show in which one person will tell the real history of a person, place, or thing, and another person will tell a crazy batshit bananas alternate version of that same person, place, or thing that can be as wild as they like. That person
Bad
could
as you want to be.
Yeah, they could be a llama. The entire story could be that Napoleon was just a llama and he ate grass, and that was the story of Napoleon. Usually they're more exciting, but that could be an option. That's valid.
I'll throw out my llama story.
Yeah. I don't think that one would win.
It's like the children's book, Llama, Llama, Red Pajama, Dead in the Siberian Wastes, or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, one of Dr. Seuss's
Saint
political
Helen.
works.
Yeah. Targeting Napoleon.
Yeah. Take that, Napoleon, who's dead by the time I'm writing books. Anyway, then another person tells an alternate version that can be as crazy as they want. And at the end, we vote on what becomes the true history of this brilliant, blue, spinning, luminescent marble we call the Earth going forward. And right now, we're talking about one particular place on Earth called Hollywood and all of its scandals and tragedies.
Yeah.
Last time we talked about Thelma Todd, silent era / early talkie comedic movie actress who died mysteriously in her car. The alternate history, in which was a vast conspiracy involving JFK and Marilyn Monroe and multiple murders, was the victor in that particular case. This week we are discussing a topic I already forgot. I did not do the research this time. That's why I'm doing the intro.
Zach has been very busy, and he just got off a train, listeners, so... cut him
The
some
most
slack.
exhausting task, riding a train.
We're discussing William Desmond Taylor. I'll be doing the true story, and Allison will be doing the alternate.
Hey there, this is Brian, reminding you that The Revisionist is supported by listeners just like you. You can make a pledge and get rewards like shirts and even the right to vote over at patreon.com/therevisionists.
If we're all ready to go, Brian, are you ready to take it away?
Let's do this shit. William Desmond Taylor was born William Cunningham Dean Tanner in 1872 in County Carlow, Ireland.
Okay. That's a C-.
County Carlow, Ireland.
You are, in fact, Irish.
I am.
And I think you've had to renounce that now.
Yeah. You are from nowhere now.
That's exact. I am a Ronin, no longer
Yeah.
Irish.
It's
Bad cartoon.
Arya Stark situation now.
Now that I'm no longer
Yeah.
Irish, I get to pretend to be Irish on St. Patrick's Day. His family was Anglo-Irish gentry. Boo. He had 5 siblings, one of whom was notable. Dennis Gage Dean Tanner, who...
I was hoping you were going to say Dennis Miller, but no.
Dennis Miller, who... Dennis Gage Dean Tanner, much like Dennis Miller, disappeared. All of this happened in 1912.
And became super conservative after 9/11.
Yeah. So, between the years 1885 and 1887, William Desmond Taylor, he didn't adopt that name till later, but fuck it, we're going to call him that.
Because the other name sucks, and he was right.
Yeah, it was a lot less.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was a good call in terms of Hollywood names.
In my notes, he's just WDT. WDTF. What? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Between
WTD.
Between 1885 and 1887, he attended Marlborough College in England.
The college that's in flavor country.
Knew it. And then in 1890, after attending college, he went to work on a dude ranch in Kansas.
Technical term.
Yep. I should say, before we get too deep into this, a lot of this came from Wikipedia, but a large portion of it came from Classic Hollywood Bios, a website, specifically an article written by, and I hope I don't fuck this name up, Dina DiMambro. So check her out. She has a book called True Hollywood Noir, I believe it's called. Anywho, spoiler alert, also. So working on Dude Ranch.
Wait. Your sources are a spoiler alert?
Well, I guess True Hollywood Noir was a spoiler alert, but we already kind of said that.
No, we were just going to tell the story about a nice actor man whom nothing happened to.
Age.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
This is the story of Paul Newman, just a pretty good guy.
Yep.
I would seriously do an episode on Paul Newman.
I would do the shit out of an episode on Paul Newman. I love me some Pollyann. Don't know. That was part of a trend among like the gentry to send their sons to become gentlemen farmers. So that equals dude ranch, I guess.
Yeah. Gentlemen farmers.
They
not like
farm
those
gentlemen.
plebeian farmers.
Oh, yeah.
Classy Kansas farmers. Very well-to-do.
As someone who has driven through Kansas, nothing
wear
but gentlemen.
monocles.
Someone who was born in Kansas.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Wait, which part of Kansas?
South Central, nowhere.
Okay. Because, Zach, you're...
My family is from Kansas. Hayes, Scott City.
Oh, okay.
Kinda,
We're an hour west of Wichita. This is fascinating for the listeners.
Wasn't it your mom who went to college with BTK?
Oh, my dad thinks he had a class with BTK.
No, my mom lived in Wichita around the time that BTK was active.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the BTK cast.
Yeah,
the
we've
BT
changed.
cast. So, while he's gentleman farming, at some point he fell in love with acting all over again, which he did like in college, and he moved to New York. At some point he married Ethel May Hamilton, who was her stage name was Ethel May Harrison. She was an actress. They, as a couple, they were the member of, quote, several yacht clubs. So fuck you. They had a daughter around 1902, 1903. And William Desmond Taylor was known as a drinker. He was known to be depressed. He had multiple affairs. Not a good husband and father. And he, as if to prove that point, vanished in 1908. Some people said he had like mental lapses around that time.
I do like to think that it was actually because somebody accused him of being a good father, and to prove he wasn't, he's like, "I'll show them. I'll vanish."
Call me a good dad, will you?
This coffee cup is a lie.
I put quote marks around world's greatest dad. So Ethel May in 1912, she obtained a state decree of divorce, and she didn't know where he went. They weren't able to track him. His route went through like Canada and Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, taking jobs both acting and mining gold. Diversify.
They go hand in hand to this day.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
You see Anna Kendrick in the mines now and again.
Of course, Oscar Isaac. Those are the mines I want to be in. Anyway, 1912, he arrives in San Francisco. He makes connections with some people he knew in New York who give him some money, and he purchases a house down in Los Angeles. He begins acting in movies in 1913 and directing in 1914. He ends up directing over the course of the next few years over 50 films, and was engaged for 5 years to an actress named Neva.
A very famous person.
Neva Gerber. I got the Gerber part right. Can't read what I wrote for the first name. Apologies to Neva Gerber.
Well, we all know exactly one actress from the 20s, and it's not hers, so we're good.
Exactly.
I'm going to guess it was Neva, Neva Gerber.
Baby.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
Google says she was a silent film actress.
Oh,
who appeared in
perfect.
128 films between 1912 and 1930.
Then that is definitely her. I was just like, Neva doesn't seem like a name.
If she died before 1974, it's not her.
It's probably her.
Okay.
So in 1915...
These tales tend to involve spousal murder, so I was not 100% sure of her.
Yeah, no. 1915, he makes contact with his sister-in-law, the wife of his brother, who disappeared in 1912. And he begins sending her a monthly check, basically, for the rest of his life. Not super long, but for the rest of his life. So in July of 1918, he enlists in the Canadian Expeditionary Force, and he's deployed to Europe for some World War I action. But he never saw that action. He was mainly just bumming around England. But he comes back and he directs some, I wrote in my notes, boffo picks.
What?
Some big movies.
Boffo B.O., yeah.
Yep. His biggest movie is the 1919 version of Anne of Green Gables. And then in 1918, in New York City, his former wife Ethel is watching the movie Captain Alvarez with their daughter and sees him on screen and just shouts in the theater, that's your father. Like, holy shit. Also, if she was in an Alamo, she would have been kicked out.
How old was the kid then?
Kid would have been...
Sorry.
No, 15 or 16.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too traumatic.
Yeah, no, right.
I do like the idea of them making one of those Alamo ads where they like play a voicemail from somebody who got kicked out, but the person was like, "I found my husband."
It seems like they should make an exception for this.
No shouting for joy.
My phone was
You're
off.
Long lost.
If you're at like a movie party, go for it, but not during a regular screening of Captain Alvarez or whatever the fuck.
To be fair, if I was at Fury Road and someone looked up at like
God.
fucking Nicholas Hoult and was like, "That's your dad," I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
The movie.
Oh man, Jen and I did go to the Fury Road movie party last week, and it was the best thing ever. If you've not seen that movie on a big screen, you should take the opportunity to when you get it.
And if you haven't seen that movie in general, I recommend. It's a good one.
Yeah, one of my top 5 movies of all time.
Really?
Oh yes.
I mean, it's good. The top 5 is pretty extreme.
Every time I watch it, I don't feel any diminishing returns. It's just as enthralling as the last time. Anyway, William
For a
Desmond
second,
Taylor.
I thought you were going to say every time I watch it, I don't feel anything.
Yeah, I thought that's why you like it, is it just wipes you of all emotion.
Yeah, my usual depression and beleaguerment fades
Well,
into a
step one,
vacuum of neutrality.
I watch all movies in an iron lung, and that's really the first thing, just devoid of all sensation.
Yeah.
So after seeing Taylor in the movie, Ethel writes to the studio and gets in touch with him. They meet up, and he's like, they visited in New York, and he makes his daughter his heir. But there's nothing about like the sort of relationship they had, or if he was even like sending them money like he was doing with his sister-in-law. Any hoozle. On the morning of February 2nd, 1922, 2/2/22, which is cool. His body, Taylor's body, is found in his bungalow in Westlake, Los Angeles. Fun fact, today that bungalow is the parking lot for a Ross and Dollar Tree. So, fun fact, a crowd eventually gathers.
Wow. It's exciting.
Yeah. So if you're ever at a Ross in Westlake, no, you're at William Desmond Taylor's bungalow site.
Assuming it's also, what was the other business?
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree, yeah. Both of those in conjunction. There's probably more than one Ross and, well, maybe not anymore.
Yeah. So a crowd gathers around his body because crime scenes were not a thing at the time. And a person... the way Wikipedia described this was a person identifying himself as a doctor.
Yeah.
Steps up and like examines Taylor's body and says he died of a stomach hemorrhage. And I think they claims he was a doctor because of what happened next, which that investigators arrive and turn over the body and find a fucking bullet wound in his back.
Yeah.
I feel like the background check at doctors on crime scenes back then was like, basically like gun background checks now.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm good to do this, man.
Are you willing? Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is a responsibility I am up for, and that is all you need to know.
So Taylor's eventually buried in Hollywood Forever Cemetery. His body, he had $78 in his wallet, which would be $1,170 today. According to Wikipedia, that seems insane to me, but whatever.
Both 78 and 1,000 are a lot to have in your wallet to me.
Yeah,
so good for him
true.
either way.
That's true.
I have $2 bills in my wallet right now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The thing I wrote down was like, along with other rich stuff. Like he had like a diamond ring and like fucking
And a monocle and like
gold
a
tip
Fabergé
cigarettes.
egg.
Yeah, I don't know, fucking oil. I don't know.
Oil? Just
Bit oil in his boots, just dripping.
Of bubbling crude. Yeah.
Texas tea.
Yeah.
Black gold.
He also had a locket with a picture of actress Mabel Normand in it, with whom he had spent the previous night. She was the last person to see him alive, as far as I remember.
Yes.
I did not write that part down for some reason, even though it's totes pertinent. He was missing a large but uncounted sum of cash that he had shown his accountant the day before. I don't know why they say just like shown his accountant. Like, look at this.
It's like, just check this out.
Aren't you impressed?
Look how much I'm not paying you.
His time of death was established at 7:50 p.m. the night before. Mary Miles Minter, great name, another actress, said that the actor and director Marshall Nealon said that Taylor had, quote, recently become insane.
Yes.
So, cool. That seems solid. Don't need to check that out.
It's one of those things like, you know, you think maybe your friend has become insane, and then you wait, and then eventually you see the post on Facebook that's like, has become insane, change their status to insane.
Yep. God damn it. Sorry, I realized I had to pull up the article for something. There was some concern around Hollywood around this time about, like, bad publicity. This is in the wake of the Fatty Arbuckle scandal and trials.
Bad publicity meaning basic accountability.
Yeah. I mean, coming at it from the studio's perspective, they were, like, afraid of any more bad press, basically.
Sure.
Which
it was high alert time.
Which meant that studio representatives came to Taylor's house during the investigation and cleaned it out. So there's a bunch of stuff taken from his house that we don't know what it was.
Gold,
maybe.
Oil, loose oil that
Yeah,
you had
just
lying around.
I mean, that's the thing. You could just, like, hoover
pools
that up.
of blood and oil.
Same thing, man. Same fucking thing. Sorry. A retired cop later said, like decades after the fact, that about a week after the case, they were told to, quote, lay off for no discernible reason. That might just be a cop bullshitting. Who knows? So every source I've read lists multiple suspects when there's one. There's one who clearly did it. And the rest are there for filler, I guess. So I want to talk about...
And obviously the one who did it, Hillary Clinton. Everybody knows it.
That was, like, the weirdest thing about Jeffrey Epstein's death, was just, like, how quickly people were like, if you don't believe Hillary Clinton did this, you're a fool.
Yeah.
I think Epstein's death is unique because I have never seen a situation where, like, conspiracy became the number one option for everybody so quickly. It doesn't matter if you're on the left, the right, like, it was murder. Like, 75% of the population immediately was like, well, this is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's
That's a
ever
good point.
killed themselves
Yeah,
in
immediately.
prison.
Yeah.
I've never seen a conspiracy theory just become basically public fact,
Yeah.
public opinion fact so fast.
Yeah.
Jesus. So there's a little fella named Edward Sands, who worked as Taylor's valet and cook until 7 months before the murder, when Taylor fired him. Sands had prior convictions for embezzlement, forgery, and serial desertion from the Navy.
How do you even... So he deserted,
and then he took a fake name
returned?
and
what?
re-enlisted.
He was like, let's give this another go?
You know what? Maybe me and the Navy have a little more spark left in us.
Come on, baby, let me back. I made a mistake.
I just love boats. So Edward Sands also talked with a fake Cockney accent. He was from Ohio.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, hello, governor. My name's Edward Sands.
This is
sort
my
of.
favorite guy now.
Yeah.
I don't care that he killed somebody.
Taylor fired him largely because on a trip to Europe, Sands forged a bunch of checks in Taylor's name, spending about $5,000 of his money. Wrecked Taylor's car.
If $78 is like $1,100 now, that's gotta be...
That's a hot pizza. Yeah, that's...
Tens of hundreds of thousands?
A lot of money.
Yes.
And after Taylor fired him, Sands robbed Taylor's house a couple times. Even at one point, going so far as to walk across Taylor's bed and leave footprints there, seemingly intentionally.
Real footprints. I'm never leaving this bit. Okay.
It was a fucking Casper or whatever. Super comfortable Casper mattresses.
For reference, it would be approximately $70,500.
Whoa.
No shit. Sands also is one of the few people, while Taylor was alive, who knew Taylor's past life, basically. Knew his real identity. And also, after the murder, Sands disappeared and was never heard from again. So, Edward Sands, there's some other suspects they list, several actresses who are like, oh, she was romantically obsessed with him. Maybe she did it, but come on.
She had the women crazies.
Yeah.
She changed her Facebook status to insane, but the day before.
Clearly. There is one man who got railroaded. I want to tell his story real quick before we close. Henry Peavy, who was Taylor's valet after Sands got fired. Peavy was the man who found Taylor's body, actually. And the Wikipedia article, ooh, doctor.
What?
It mentions that newspapers noted that Peavy wore flashy golf costumes but did not own any golf clubs.
Did you say, ooh, doctor?
I
That's
did.
why I said what?
Yeah.
Because that's not a thing.
That's a thing.
No, it's not.
I've heard that before.
More than thinking that's a thing, I thought there was someone named Ooh Doctor. That's more logical to me.
Okay, listeners, you've heard that before, right? Right, Ed. Revisionist
So
podcast.
I've looked up Ooh Doctor first. The first result is Ooey Ooh Doctor Who full version with a picture of David Tennant. That's a video.
Ooh.
There's a video called Ooh Doctor You Sonicked Her, which I think is probably also a Doctor Who thing.
Yes, but maybe a porn
Yeah,
parody.
And then one called Ooh Doctor 10 Contemporary Medical Humiliation ... And that's on Goodreads.
Wait. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay, so it's not like
So it must be... It's Ooh Doctor 10 Contemporary Medical Humiliation Short Stories by Kinsey Gray. Thank you, Kinsey Gray.
She's not paying us. We don't need to...
You can get a copy of that on Kindle Unlimited for $0.00.
Oh, hell
There
yeah.
is a sexy undressed woman on the cover.
Ah,
Nice.
okay. That.
Ooh, Doctor.
This doctor fucks.
So
Anyway, sorry.
now we know what Brian has been reading.
It's that and dinosaur porn.
Mm.
What? Okay. 3 days before Taylor's murder, Peavy had been arrested for, quote, social vagrancy and charged with being, quote, lewd and dissolute. I should note at this point that I did not before, Henry Peavy was black. And so, but about, like, after putting him through intense questioning, the police ruled him out as a suspect. But the Hollywood correspondent of the New York Daily News, a woman named Floribel Muir, decided that he was the murderer. And so this is excerpted from Robert Giroux. Again, this is just on the Wikipedia. Muir thought she could engineer a scoop by tricking Peavy into a confession. Again, this is a quote from Wikipedia, not from my mouth. She knew, parentheses, from the movies, that blacks were deathly afraid of ghosts. So
A fact that you learned in the movies when was this, 1920s?
yeah.
To be fair, probably something the movies genuinely believed at the time.
Yeah, I've seen movies of this era. It's a thing they do.
If you've never seen horror noir on Shudder, there is in fact a segment of that where it's about the history of horror where black people tended to play like superstitious fools.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a horror noirs are really, really good.
It's quite good, yes. I recommend it. Get that free Shudder month, watch it. You don't have to re-up.
So she got two buddies and made a plan. She offered Peavy $10 to identify Taylor's grave in the cemetery, which is weird. One of her friends, a man named Al Wineshank, had gone on ahead in the cemetery and put on just a white sheet. And
Wow.
Muir and her other friend drove Peavy to the cemetery, and Wineshank jumped out and said, "I am the ghost of William Desmond Taylor. You murdered me. Confess, Peavy."
This was the first Hollywood Horror Nights.
Yeah. They didn't realize that Wineshank spoke with like a tough Chicago accent.
And was not a complete fucking moron.
Well, and Peavy just laughed out loud and, according to the quote, cursed them roundly. Also, they didn't know that William Desmond Taylor had a distinctive British accent, so presumably his ghost would too, I guess. I don't know.
Accents transcend physical bodies.
Everyone's American in the afterlife.
Yeah. Actually, I've read that everyone has a New Zealand accent in the afterlife, which sounds nice.
Ooh.
That's fancy.
Ooh, doctor.
Peavy. I'm gonna make a bunch of "Ooh Doctor" shirts. That's gonna be my new catchphrase, I think. Peavy was.
I don't recommend this. I'm identifying myself as a doctor right now, and I do not recommend this course of action.
Also, I have a bullet in my back. Peavy's basically been cleared. He died in 1931, and the case has never been officially solved, but fucking Edward Sands did it.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm JD Lopez, the host of Left Hand Right Brain. It's a free-flowing, wide-ranging conversation that I have with artists doing interesting and creative things here in Denver and beyond. We talk about their personal stories, break down their creative process, and what motivates them. Spoiler alert, it's mostly spite. We talk about all these things and more while kicking back, cracking wise, and always having a good time. You can find old episodes and everything you need to know at lefthandrightbrainpod.com.
Well, that's all wrong, but
one of my favorite things on this podcast is just the summary dismissal of everything that came before.
wrong.
Literally everything. The names, the dates.
No. Actually, some of it's pretty good. This did come to me in a fever dream. Haven't reread it since, so probably makes sense. Honestly, William Desmond Taylor's true history is pretty similar to the one Brian found on Wikipedia.
I don't know why that felt like a slam, but it did.
It is a slam, to be honest. Against our podcast as a whole.
But there's one important distinction right off the bat. On April 26, 1872, William Cunningham Dean Tanner came into existence, but he wasn't born. He was voted into existence by the women's suffrage movement in the United States after they decided that, although it went against their ultimate goals and dreams, they might need a man to infiltrate some organizations and do their bidding.
The first democratic conception.
Yes. Possibly the last, but... It was a failed experiment. Anyway, so in 1872, a few months before Susan B. Anthony voted in the presidential election, the suffragists came together and willed William Desmond Taylor into existence because the people in Salem got it right. Women are for sure witches, and you should be scared. But given that this was their first time making a person...
To be fair, I believe we have established on this podcast that the Salem witches are time travelers who are spread throughout history doing God knows what.
Oh, well, then this kind of fits.
Also.
Yeah.
I forgot about the part of this podcast where we wrap old stories into our new ones.
I like that.
That's the part of the podcast I forget about all the time.
It seems like an integral part. It seems like the whole point of the
Doesn't
podcast. Yeah.
But nobody follows it closely enough for us to really do it.
But, yeah, I guess that's true. But you do.
This is the 95th one. There's too fucking much at this point.
Yeah.
Who can
We can bring
remember
it back.
the
We'll do
real
it.
history, let alone the fake one?
I remember the time traveling feminists now, and
Some of them really
fun.
stand out.
Yeah.
But, given that this was their first time making a person, they got it a little wrong, and he popped up in Ireland. Luckily, was taken in by a family. The suffragists lost track of him and assumed their experiment had just gone awry, even though they felt he was kind of out there somewhere. Anyway, soon William was sent to a dude ranch in Kansas, as Wikipedia and Brian said. There, he met a cow whose body was... Cow? It's not funny yet. It's just a cow, okay?
Just the phrase, he met a cow.
He met a cow, whose body was inhabited by the recently deceased Vincent van Gogh, because not only are witches real, but reincarnation is too, and it's a bit of a bitch. So, all day long, Vincent was able to do nothing but admire nature, but should he become depressed...
He went...
Or what?
Oh, he went from a chopped off ear to having a tag in his ear. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And,
He painted with spots. Now he's covered in
Jesus
spots.
fucking Christ.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
He goes from the drinker of milk to the... Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he mostly
But,
drank, like,
Should
whiskey
he
and
become
shit, I
depressed,
think.
self-loathing, or have an itch on his ear, all he could do was swat at it with his paintbrush-like tail that never got to paint.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Anyway, William learned a lot from Vincent van Moo. Vincent hated that. It wasn't even a clever pun, but that's what William called him. And mostly, he learned about acting, because if the spirit of Vincent van Gogh could pretend to be happy as a cow, by golly, anything was possible.
It's a little Charlotte's Web going on a little bit.
I guess.
No, not really. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, he left the cow and moved to New York to pursue acting and to get away from Vincent's incessant moaning and mooing. And in New York, William ran into the group of women who had voted him into existence. They secretly tried again to
Always
console him for their
awkward.
cause, or even just to talk to him and make him less of a womanizing bastard, but he'd been separated from them for too long. So amid his attempts to act, start a family, and just not die in New York, William felt the pull of his birthright and would disappear for weeks at a time, just to wander in the city and decide if he was mad to think at times that perhaps women should get to vote. Where did this thought come from? Why did it plague him? Eventually it drove him mad, and he left for California and started to work in silent films. He didn't know why, but he felt an incredible connection to the actors in silent films. They didn't have a voice, and he thought deep down that that was wrong, and he should help represent them somehow.
He just didn't understand that they didn't have the technology for it.
Yep.
Real quick, you guys are able to hear me? For a second, there was a microphone slash through on my thing, so I just want to make sure I'm clean again.
No, yeah,
Yes,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you now.
It was only for like 10
You are not
seconds.
silent.
It's not a big deal. So, good to
Okay.
go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, as I said, his life was very similar to the one in the books. He lived feeling torn in different directions. On the one hand, he loved womanizing. On the other hand, maybe he respected them for some reason. So he went to war for a while to get away from it all. And then in 1920...
I need to relax.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to World War One.
Yeah. He's tired of the battle within, you know. And then in 1922, a year after the Fatty Arbuckle scandal, as you mentioned, William became disillusioned with Hollywood. He went mad seeing the injustices and hidden depravity of the world, and so he decided he wanted to send a message to all the men in the business, and that message was simple. Hey, women can kill us if we and probably never get caught if we keep this shit up. So he shot himself in the back. Nearly impossible task, you'd think, but William was a nearly impossible man.
Well, can I just untangle this motivation for a moment?
Yeah.
So he committed a false murder, accused women of the murder with the intention of making other men more afraid of women in order to empower or disempower women.
He wasn't sure.
Like, I get, like, the Manson family wanted to start a race war, so they're like, oh, black people did this. Like, that was to drag them through the mud. This one, I'm not clear.
This one, it's kind of to empower them.
Okay.
And he wanted men to be scared of them a little bit, but also, but unfortunately, everybody was just into scandals and wanted people to be bad, secretly, so his plan really backfired. Do you get it?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Fair. It's where is this the origin of the term?
That sound, listeners, was Allison looking me dead in the eye and slapping the table.
I think, is this the origin of that term?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, fair enough.
And that would be the end of the story, except William forgot about reincarnation that he learned about with the cow.
Classic mistake.
Classic mistake. You forget that he learn a religion is real.
Yeah. Indiana Jones makes this mistake all the time.
Very true. Quite a stupid man when you think about it.
Yeah.
But, William wasn't exactly a normal soul, so for a while, before he could inhabit a living thing, he bounced around in cartoons for a while, forced to exist with the limitations of how he was drawn.
I wonder who Yakko Warner was in life. Adolf Hitler did not see that one coming.
Did not realize that Animaniacs had a last name also.
Yep.
Oh, the Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole joke.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, I get it now.
The Warner Brothers and their sister Dot. This only 90s kids will remember.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Sure.
Oh, shit, really?
It was.
Oh.
And in 1940, William influenced the spirit of Bugs Bunny, coining the phrase, "What's up, Doc?" specifically to mock the doctor who hadn't even bothered to turn over his body and see the bullet hole. Over his years as cartoons, he began to sympathize greatly with all the people and creatures of the world that can't escape the bonds of their birth, forced to be just drawn that way. Anyway, he learned a lot. And then in 1941, William Desmond Taylor was reincarnated as Bernie Sanders. And in 2020, he was elected president of the United States before being tragically... Why did I write this part? In 2022, shot in the back. Because time is a flat circle and no one learns anything, and history for sure repeats.
Well, I guess the silver lining is that a man who was democratically elected to exist by women. If a woman can't become president, at least a man who was democratically chosen to exist by women.
Yeah, the spirit of that man.
Allison, thank you.
Yep.
Also, I wonder if I was thinking of like, "What's up, Doc?" when I said "Ooh, doctor." I don't know.
Maybe.
They're very different.
I think you were thinking of your Doctor Erotica series that we found on
Yeah.
Goodreads.
Doctor Hey.
Okay.
Is this name like whatever Kaylee Field or whatever a pseudonym for you by chance?
I mean, they're very similar names, Field and Flynn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might not be it. I've closed the page.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to dig it up. Listeners, before we move on to judgment, just want to remind you that you can always ask us a question, leave us a comment at revisionistpodcast@gmail.com.
Indeed,
Or-
we might even respond to it. We almost did last week and didn't because of technical difficulties.
Yes.
Ooh, doctor.
Which we can do that like in the next episode, or I can cut that. Sorry, I can cut my rambling
But
out.
leave us a review where you say, "Ooh, doctor, this is one good podcast."
5 star, doctor.
5 out of 5 doctors.
And announce-
Ooh.
And you know
Yeah,
who's
don't
a
want your
doctor?
to say that.
You're a doctor if you say you are. So say on the review, "I'm a doctor," and I agree.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Revisionist Podcast. We're a proud member of the Denver Podcast Network. Check that out at denverpodcast.net. Allison, this episode is coming out on the 7th of September. Do you have anything you'd like to plug? You are going to be on High Plains Comedy Festival at the end of September.
How about We Still Like You, September 16th, 8 p.m. at the Buntport Theater.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great show, and that's a great venue. Check
Yes,
that out
come.
if
Yeah.
you are in Denver. Zach, did you want to mention anything for September 7th?
I am deeply in an intensive boot camp class for the month of September and October, and will not be doing much of anything but that.
Yeah, I figured. Just want to be sure. As for me, listeners, the next round of Know Your Shit Comedy TED Talks is going to be September 21st at Tandem Bar in Denver. It's a very fun time. The theme for that one is going to be villains. So check that out. But that brings us to judgment. And Zach, I believe that's your role. It's so dark where you are. Like the camera is just like
this
a
is
black
what happens
void.
when we record about this time of night. It goes from like light to pure dark as I retreat to my judge's quarters to consider the facts. There are some interesting aspects to this story. I think we had a lot of fun recapping the true history. I am intrigued, however, by, I think that the second story confirms reincarnation, which is nice, just in general.
Is it? I've done one of these shits so far, and I'm not.
Yeah, as long as you don't remember the last one, maybe, but these people clearly do.
Yeah.
It's like remembering your middle school, like, fuck up, except it's 200 years in the future and it's your third body.
But still.
But also, I like that this is maybe our first alternate history that also predicts the future, which is an interesting
I'm a witch.
twist. Yeah, it's an interesting twist. I am, full disclosure, personally a bit more predisposed to Warren, but I would welcome a Bernie presidency over what we have currently with open arms very readily. And so I want to live in such a world, and also, if I may say, possibly that means if another thing happens in 2020, no matter what that thing is, the podcast itself has to exist in an alternate version of history.
Oh, Jesus.
And
that's
that is too tempting to give up, so I'm going to go with the alternate history right now.
All
Nice.
right. Listeners, voting is now open on Patreon, and then the last ditch voting will be on Instagram later this week, so keep checking that out. Allison, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Zach, thank you as always.
Of course, yep.
Thank you, Zach.
For everyone here at The Revisionist, I'm Brian Flynn. Don't know why that came out that way.
Also, thank you. I thank you, everybody. I didn't say thank you back. I felt rude.
All right. Have a good time, Doctor.
Yep.